With everything we've covered in the last two videos, you should now have a good idea of how to set up your Twitter account for the best chance of organic growth and for synergy across your social media accounts and digital marketing efforts. Still though, all the synergy in the world won't make up for a lack of content. Ultimately, you need to ensure you are constantly filling up your Twitter account with new information that will make people want to sign up and keep following you. When we discussed at the start of this series what most companies were doing wrong and where they found themselves, we found that they hadn't done anything to help users find their accounts or to sign up. But the other problem was that they didn't know what they were meant to be posting. Here are some examples of the kind of content you might find for an EPOS company posting. Now, EPOS is electronic point of sale, effectively a checkout system for a shop or store. Let's look at this first one. Do you want to serve your customers faster? Try our hashtag EPOS, hashtag point of sale, hashtag checkout. Or this one. Are you ready for the holiday season? Make sure your hashtag EPOS, hashtag software can handle your increased turnover. Or, we're offering a 10% discount to new clients for this month only. Sign up now, and it gives the URL. Or what about this one? Our EPOS software is faster and more reliable than the nearest competition. Hashtag turnover, hashtag security. You get the point. So what's wrong with this exactly? Well, it will be quicker to ask what's right with it. Ask yourself this. Would you follow that kind of Twitter account? What would be the point? If you were an existing customer, then seeing adverts for something you were already using wouldn't exactly offer much value. If you weren't an existing customer, well, it's likely you'd just be frustrated by the constant nagging. So the question you need to ask yourself is, what would your customers want to read? Well, the first question to ask is, who are your customers? The answer in case of an EPOS company would be business owners. This is a fantastic niche. Business owners have plenty in common with one another and a very clear and obvious area of interest. In short, there's lots of potential for content that is going to be highly intriguing to this audience. Posts on customer service, on new business technologies, on social media marketing, on pricing, and a whole lot more. You can provide some real value here with business tips and advice, and your audience will eat it up. If you run a fitness blog, then you should provide fitness tips, workout advice, diet ideas, and so on. If you run a blog on the martial arts, then discuss movies and your favorite martial arts films. Think of each tweet as a mini product and try to ensure that the reader benefits from it in some way, whether that's by being entertained or by learning something. For businesses, industry news can also prove very popular, especially if it facilitates teamwork between brands, which we'll look at shortly. Another approach to take is a little less on the nose. Instead of directly discussing your niche industry or service, you can talk about the lifestyle of people involved with your topic instead. In other words, you try to sell the idea that you're part of a community and you post on subjects that might inspire or that your audience can relate to. This would work well for our EPOS company. It's likely they're a small team and they probably work with a lot of other businesses that are also just starting out. This then puts them in the perfect position to tweet about their business. Maybe to show some behind-the-scenes photos of a new store that's setting up somewhere, or maybe to upload pictures of the team to Instagram at Christmas time wearing Christmas hats. This is inspiring and motivating for other young companies, and it subtly shows off what that EPOS service can offer without ramming it down everyone's throat. It can work even better for some commercial businesses selling useful things. Going back to the outdoors fitness companies selling those running shoes, they can easily promote the outdoor lifestyle with Instagram pictures of people running on the beach or of hiking boots covered in snow. They could also tweet motivational sayings like, "Success is the last person to stop running." Likewise, covering something that everyone can relate to might mean something along the lines of, one of the downsides of running, far too many clothes to wash. This is a powerful strategy because people will now feel like they're part of something by following you on Twitter. Instead of a company, you're now a movement and an ideal, and this is where social media can become truly powerful. There's another strategy that you can also employ with your tweets that will often prove popular, and that's to provide some kind of personal insight into your business or life. This works especially well for celebrities and for big bloggers. If you follow a well-known blogger, then you might find that you want to get some insights into their lives. What do they do in their spare time? What's their view on whatever? What do they eat for dinner? This sort of thing sounds trivial and boring, but if your fans really respect your content, you may be surprised at how interested they are in these seemingly mundane aspects of your life. It adds a new dimension to your content. It helps them to get to know you, and it builds trust and familiarity. So if you're a fitness blogger, don't be afraid to tweet a picture of what you're having for dinner. If you're a business owner, don't be afraid to post a picture of your busy commute one morning. Of course, it's important to gauge this correctly, and some of you will find it much easier and more suitable to employ this technique than others. If you're part of a multinational corporation, then you may find it's not appropriate to be too personal. If you run a small business, though, a few personal or behind-the-scene posts can help you to get to know you. But if you're a blogger in the same vein as Pat Flynn or Tim Ferriss, then feel free to be as personal and opinionated as you like, without offending anyone, of course. Another way to ensure that your Twitter is constantly full of interesting, relevant and quality information is to react to what's in the news and what's trending. Some people have described Twitter as being the pulse of the planet. What they mean by this is that the short-form content on Twitter and the large number of users makes it a great place for qualitative data. In other words, there are lots of words being posted in a format that's easy to interpret, and that way you can almost get the mood of the internet as a whole. Likewise, you can find out what's on the mind of the population by looking at what's trending, or which hashtags are currently being used most often. In all likelihood, if something big has just happened in the news, say a big celebrity were to have died, then hashtags related to that topic will be among the most widely used at that time. Eventually, one particular hashtag will rise to prominence and will come to represent that topic on Twitter. So, if an imaginary celebrity called Johnny Big Star were to die, then our popular hashtag might be hashtag RIP Johnny Big Star, or hashtag JB, etc. As someone who's trying to build prominence on Twitter, it's always a good idea to comment on these sorts of topics where possible. This is because you can be sure that lots of people will be looking for those hashtags and will be retweeting that content. What's more, once you have established your brand on Twitter, people should be interested to see your take on the matter. Just make sure you are careful not to be too divisive or offensive, unless this is your strategy, of course, and make sure that you only comment when you have something worthwhile to contribute. Note as well that if you comment on something that's too big, you can easily get lost in a sea of other comments. Sometimes it's picking up on the somewhat big news that will actually get you more coverage. Better yet, picking up on a story that's big in your industry can be a great way to stand out and get noticed. This way, the people who see your posts will be more targeted, meaning they are people who are potential clients and customers and who fall within your target demographic. Make sure that you keep one ear to the ground and do everything you can to stay constantly up to date with the latest developments. This might mean reading other blogs or industry newsletters. It might even mean following other Twitter users in your niche. Notice how useful it is when companies share news. And we'll continue this video in part 2.